What?
Dr. Umar Johnson, King Kong Consciousness, would like to sue Lenon Honor and Sharon Stone, a.k.a. Lene Stacks, a.k.a.
Fishy
and he also calls her a.k.a. the throat goat and
Fishy Coochie!
fish box, Miss
Fishy
Fish Box,
Coochie!
Fishy Coochie. He would like to sue them. But does Umar Johnson really want to bring this thing into court? Let's talk about it.
No follow-up. Say this about Pastor Bussy.
Pastor Bussy.
Rainbow Bunny. Pastor Bussy, the Rainbow Bunny, has been cyberstalking me for 10 years. People have asked me to put a stop to him legally. I had 2 attorneys who sent him cease and desist. And he did not cease and desist. Those attorneys did not live in Utah where he lives.
An attorney does not need to live in the same city or state that the person that they are suing is living in. They just need to be licensed. And a lot of times these attorneys, if they get a case and they are not licensed in the state where the case is going to be held, they will refer it to an associate who is licensed for that state. So the reason that the attorneys did not pursue this case against Lenon Honor most likely was because they did not get paid.
Those attorneys did not live in Utah, so there was no follow-up. I recently consulted with a Utah attorney who told me I have a serious case against Pastor Bussy, the Rainbow Bunny. But I'm going to have to fly out to Utah a couple times to appear in court. So this attorney told me that if I give him the retainer, he will begin the investigation on Pastor Bussy. And after looking at Pastor Bussy's YouTube page, he says he is quite certain that I have a case for slander, I have a case for libel, I have a case for defamation. And he also said because he's been making money off of my name for 10 years, that he can be made to pay me back all the money that he made in my name, and that we can lay siege to any property that he owns. I told him that the man is broke. He don't have any property. He basically pays his bills by making Dr. Umar defamation films. I have to have a Dr. Umar defense fund.
Nigga, pay your own bills.
So I can file suit against people who think it's okay to constantly slander my name and attack my mother. Attack my mother. Attack my mother. The throat goat. Why are you making up these lies? I'm willing to take a lie detector test with her. I'm willing to go to Kansas City, Kansas, and take a lie detector test. I'm willing to go to Kansas City, Missouri, and take a lie detector test.
Well, I think that Lenon Honor and the throat goat needs to take him up on that offer. Are they willing to take a lie detector test? Put it all on the line. Take the test. The truth shall set you free.
I want the lie detector technician to ask 10 questions. Did he want you to have his baby? Did he want to marry you? Did he want you to have his baby? Did he masturbate in front of you? Did he do drugs in front of you? Did he hit you raw? Did he go down on your funky, sardine, rat-infested, smelling like the worst fish tank never cleaned? Did he go down on you? Brothers.
If she was so stinky down there, then how could he even allow her to gummy bear his Shango stick? If she was so fishy, coochie, this, that, and this, why would he even trust her?
Put it in her mouth.
And sisters, I want to address 2 situations. Normally, I ignore nonsense, but this is a time where I think I need to address the nonsense for the sake of my true and sincere supporters and FDMG donors. The first week of March, my travels took me to Sweden. I was in Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden. And as y'all know, while I was in Stockholm, Sweden, my daughter, baby Smurf, she decided to quote unquote expose me while I was in Stockholm, Sweden. While I was in Stockholm, Sweden, the woman who I contracted with to care for my mother turned out to be a demon in disguise and is now one of my top haters and detractors. So I just think it's very fortuitous that Stockholm, Sweden, and shout out to all my Stockholm, Sweden Africans. I just find it interesting that my daughter and this Kansas City hood rat, that both of them were in the works against me at the same time. Now, I do care for my mother, who I love more than anything in this world. And for those of you who care for your parents, you understand where I'm coming from. This is information that I didn't want to share, but I think it is appropriate to the conversation.
So as you can see, the clip that was playing, his daughter was outside pissing in a bleach bottle. I think Umar needs to go get his daughter. As for Siobhan, now we start to see that she is running around blabbing and talking. I mean, this woman, which I will be playing a clip from the Lenon Honor YouTube channel where she talked to Lenon Honor. This woman went into this man's house, okay, like an android. She scanned every nook and cranny of that man's house like an android or a robot. Went on Lenon Honor's channel. She talked about everything she saw, heard, smelled, whatever up in that man's mother's house. She talked about the water pick, dental water pick he had on a dining room table. She talked about the seasons and the spices. She talked about the storage bins he had stacked up. She talked about the clothes in the plastic bag. I mean, she talked about every nook and cranny up in this woman's house. I mean, like, damn, she talked about the bathroom. She talked about everything. And I mean, it's like she was on a spy mission. It was like she was on a spy mission. And the reason why I do not think that Umar Johnson is going to follow through with the lawsuit is because this woman, she was on a fact-finding mission, burrowing and digging through everything. From my understanding, she even went through his cell phone. I mean, he had mentioned that the lawyer had told him that if Lenon Honor or her access his accounts, bank accounts, then that is a federal crime. So I'm thinking that Umar thinks that she has somehow gotten access to his account information. Now, that's going to be very explosive because if he's been getting donation money and he has not been using that money towards what it's supposed to be used for, then that's going to be a problem. And he's not going to want that coming out in court. Because if he does sue Lenon Honor for defamation and all of this, because Lenon Honor, its stance is that the school and the funding for the school is basically a scam. So obviously those records are going to be brought out in court. How much donations you got? Okay, where did the money go? And if you see that he's commingling funds or doing anything like that, then, you know, it's going to be a problem. As far as Siobhan Stone, you know, respectfully, she was sitting up there saying that she did not want to be his wife, didn't want to be his girlfriend, didn't want to do anything like that. Girl, that's a damn lie. I do not believe that. I mean, you worship this man. You worship this man. You were working that neck, giving him a little pop off. You're not bending over backwards doing all this, burrowing yourself all in this man's life. And you just want to be somebody that supports the cause. You wanted to be with this man. And when his mother had that fall, you know, and he scooped your ass up and threw you up out of the house, and you were no longer a useful tool for him, and he broke his tool, you wanted to run to the internet and start yakking your mouth all over the place. I mean, she is like telling every itty bitty piece of information that really Like, who cares? Like, he got a container with different tea bags in it, and he got different kind of spices and seasonings. Like, she's going in, like, she is, it's just like she just recorded everything that she saw, heard, smell, taste, touch with this man. I mean, it's sort of obsessive. And she hooked up with Lenon Honor. With all due respect, he's following this. He thinks it's a scam, but it does seem obsessive. His whole channel is dedicated to proving that Umar Johnson is a scam.
A few payments for $1,200, one for six something. I even offered to take care of her for free.
Yeah, at any point did Umar or did you take her to the doctors to get checked out?
No, I never left the house with her, and I wonder about how often she leaves the house. Because I was in there 5 days. I was about to pull my hair out. I was in the house 5 days, and I don't know if she left the house anytime after that. That's a long ass time to be in the house.
Yeah,
Not your house, maybe not my house, you know.
No, I understand what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, does he have power of attorney over his mother?
Yes, he does. He has to for some of the things. Like, he takes her to that's why when he sent me the text, and I have that in case he tries to say that never happened. He sent me a text claiming that I stole the car keys and he can't leave because his mom has a doctor's appointment. But you never know what's a lie with him. You know, he lies so much. He lies so damn much. He sent me a text telling me he wasn't going to be back on time, and he forgot that he had already made an excuse previously for why he wasn't going to be back on time. So and here's another thing. I don't know if this is from flying around all that. He needs to go and see a neurologist because he does not remember things. He ended up going off on me, and I was like, Umar, you were in Massachusetts yesterday. I was at the hotel, and he was like, where were you yesterday? Where were you? I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I don't know where you were. Yes. I was like, you were in Massachusetts yesterday. He's like, oh, yeah, I was. We've had incidents where if somebody wanted to get pregnant by him, they absolutely could. You know, because I have had to be the person.
At the end of the day, out of respect for his mother, I don't think that Siobhan Stone, a.k.a. Fishy Coochie, should have disclosed information about his mother. If you have a problem with Umar Johnson himself, that's one thing. But to disclose information about his mother, I do not think was appropriate at all. As far as a HIPAA thing, in a private capacity or somebody who is not a healthcare professional, they are not really held to the standard of HIPAA regulations. But this seemed like this was a private, personal thing. So I don't think that she would be responsible for adhering to the Health Information Portability Accountability Act. That is what HIPAA is. So there we go.
I don't have a dependable, responsible, reliable, confidential aide to care for my mom, I cancel events because my mother always comes first. My mother always comes first. The one that I would trust to care for mother available at that time. I had to cancel Congo last week, and y'all know how much I wanted to go to the Congo. I had been waiting for that. I had to cancel because mom comes first. When I went to Sweden, there was a young lady who I met because she invited me to Kansas City to speak at an event. So her and her son drove me from Omaha, Nebraska to Kansas City to speak. I believe the event was on December 3rd, 2023. I believe the event was on December 3rd, 2023. I believe the event was December 3rd, 2023. And we had the event. We stayed in contact through text message. And ultimately, at the top of this year, maybe late last year, but if I'm not mistaken, I saw her privately 3 times inside of the same Philadelphia hotel after hours for no more than 2 or 3 hours. I repeat, I saw her 3 times in a hotel after hours for only a few hours. 3 times. There's a small chance that it was 4 times. There's no chance that it was 5 times. I'm going to repeat this. Did you need me, boss? Are you good? Okay. So I saw her 3 times inside of a Philadelphia hotel after hours for about 3 or 4 hours. That's it. The total private time she and I spent could not have exceeded 12, 15, 20 hours max. Total time across these 3 visits, maybe 4, but I'm almost certain it was 3. No more than 12 to 15, maximum of 20 hours. When it was time for me to go to Sweden, this young lady told me that she would not mind coming to care for my mother. I assured her that I would pay her, and I did pay her. And this is going to be important when I bring up the attorney in a minute, because I consulted with an attorney in Kansas City who told me that if I can prove that I paid her to care for my mother, then she can be charged with HIPAA violations for discussing my mother's personal, sensitive medical information.
As an employer, he shouldn't be crossing the line by having a sexual relationship with her. So it was a situation where it was a friend that was doing something in a private capacity. Even though he may have kicked her a couple of dollars, she still isn't held to the same standard that a CNA or a home health aide or a nurse would be held
without permission. So this attorney said, if I can prove that I paid her, which means this was business, this was a business transaction, you paid her to care for your mother. And although she included plenty of lies in her narrative, although she included plenty of exaggerations and fallacies and untruths in her narrative, the mere fact that she purported to discuss your mother's personal sensitive information makes her guilty of HIPAA. And if we can prove that she in fact violated HIPAA law by discussing my mother's business, she can be fined, and she can also be jailed, and she can also be prevented permanently from ever working in the human services field again. An attorney told me that. So I have to pay him, okay, the retainer fee, and he's going to pick it up from here. So she could go to jail for what she did against my mother, discussing her personal business. I thought parents were off limits. I thought parents were off limits. I thought parents were off limits. But I guess when you're that trifling, when you're that low down, when you're that deceptive and manipulative, nothing is off limits. So anyway, brothers and sisters, she said, I can care for your mother. She won my confidence. I said, let's do it. So she cared for my mother twice. The weekend I was in Eastern Michigan University, that was 3 nights. And she cared for my mother for the week that I was in Stockholm, Sweden. I believe that was 5 or 6 nights. Okay? Eastern Michigan University, Stockholm, Sweden. I paid her both times. She never spent time with me in my mother's house because I don't spend time with women in my mother's house. Business is business. Personal is personal. I got her a hotel. I Ubered her over to the home. When she got to the home, I went over instructions with her. I went to the airport. When I got back from both trips, I Ubered her to a hotel. And then she flew out. I paid for her flight. I paid for her hotel. Business was business. Personal was personal. So, after returning from Sweden, I was very disappointed in the care that my mother was given. After returning from Sweden, I was very disappointed in the care that my mother was given. I'm not going to go into detail over the egregious lack of regard and concern she displayed for my mother. I'm not going to go over that. That's too personal. But I was very disappointed and I was guilty. Whenever my mother isn't properly cared for, I take on that shame. I take on that blame. But I said to myself, you can never use this woman again to care for your mother. So I began to distance myself from this woman. So let me back up again. She saw me 3 times privately. She cared for my mother 2 other times. 5 total contacts. 3 of them were private. Brothers and sisters, without being too vulgar, those 3 private contacts basically consisted of her gummy bearing my Shango. She gummy beared the Shango. That's basically what she did. It was a jump off. Hood rat jump off. That's all it was. Fellatio. 3 fellatio sessions. I came to visit. She wanted to please the Prince of Pan-Africanism. So it happened. 3 fellatio sessions. I'm not proud to say that. And then, of course, quote unquote caregiver. I put caregiver in quotes because she did anything but care for my mother. Anyway, this was the first week of March, Sweden. I come back from Sweden. I'm disappointed. Can't work with this woman no more. Can't take care of my mother. I can't mess with you. I started to distance myself from her. On June the 25th, the last moon that we had, I do my Art of Dialogue interview. I'm coming out of my Art of Dialogue interview and my phone is blowing up. There's a woman on Pastor Bussy's page claiming that y'all was in a 2.5-year relationship, that you were in love with her, that you wanted to marry her, that you wanted her to have your child. You were in a 2.5-year relationship with her. You were in love with her. You wanted to marry her. You wanted her to have your child. You were in a 2.5-year relationship with her. You wanted to marry her. Wife, brothers and sisters, I have women who look way better than her, who have done more for me in my life than she ever could, who I wasn't in love with, who I didn't want to make my wife, who I didn't want to have my baby. So this woman, this Kansas City thought, this Jezebel, this jump off, this smash and grab, spent 3 times with me, not 3 nights, because I never spent the night. I never spent a night with her in my life. I never spent a night with her in my life. I saw her 3 times. And 3 times, all of which, if I'm not mistaken, were during the first quarter of 2025. 3 times, and I'm in love with her. 3 times I want to marry her. 3 times I want her to have my baby. 3 times, and we were in a 2.5-year relationship. Brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters. But it gets worse. She told Pastor Bussy. She told Pastor Bussy. And let me say this about Pastor Bussy. Rainbow Bunny. Pastor Bussy, the Rainbow Bunny, has been cyberstalking me for 10 years. People have asked me to put a stop to him legally. I had 2 attorneys who sent him cease and desist. And he did not cease and desist.